Okay, welcome back to the YouTube channel of Pro Enzo Vidz. And ladies and gentlemen, it's finally back after a long 2 weeks. The Ankle Breaker podcast makes its return. It's been far too long. I know it's only been 2 weeks, but it's felt like a year since we had the podcast, unfortunately. So I do apologise about how it's been delayed a couple of times, but not much we can do. But the main thing is it's back tonight, and no doubt this will be a big episode. So obviously episode 55 episodes in, that's fantastic. And as a special guest for tonight on this episode 55, I've got dragonsfanguy, and obviously I had dragonsfanguy on the YouTube channel last year as well, so this is his first appearance on the channel this year, or actually second, because I saw him at the Dragons Dolphins game. But Nick, it's good to have you back on the channel. How you been, bro?
I've been very good, just very tired, but looking forward to doing this podcast and try not to fall asleep. So try not to show my age, but no, it's been good. Looking forward to it. I've been very good. Been a busy day. I spent some time with the West Tigers this afternoon, so
Wow.
That's amazing.
They were down at Mittagon. Once they get a win, we can say amazing.
Stop it.
Wow.
But no, it was good. It's a good afternoon, and thank you for having me. And everybody, remember to subscribe to All Out Champ and Pro Enzo Vidz as well.
Yeah, and likewise to yourself as well. And obviously, regular co-host, the All Out section, mate. Another episode with you. How you been, bro? And it's good to have you back on.
Mate, it just wasn't the same. My Mondays not doing the podcast, it didn't feel right. But we're back. We got dragonsfanguy here as a special guest. Guys, episode 55. We got some mad topics up ahead. A great round of footy. And guess what? The topics we have coming up soon, trust me, you do not want to miss out. So Lorenzo, dragonsfanguy, let's get underway.
That's it, bro. I couldn't have said it better myself. There's going to be some great topics to talk about. A lot of intriguing ones, a lot of big ones to talk about. Like, it's been going around during the NRL universe, I guess you could put it as. So, once we talk about them, it'd be good to hear some opinions about it. But, look, as always, we'll start going for the live chat first, see who's turning up. So, we've got Warriors NRL Fanatics in the house. Good to see ya. Prupi Akawasi says keen. Even got dragonsfanguy's comment in the chat too. KG's PlayStation, hello. CJ, William, Jason Reader. Yeah, it's a good crowd so far. So I do appreciate everyone that's fit in so far. It's good to have a good audience. But lads, we'll just kick off with obviously our round 7 review. So just kind of go for the round itself and what we thought about the week it was. So obviously, round 7. Look. Obviously, I'll ask you both first before me, but I actually thought it was a decent round. Like, I'm not just saying that because we beat Melbourne and I was there and experienced it, but it was a good round of footy in general. I won't lie. dragonsfanguy, what was your thoughts about round 7?
I really enjoyed it, except unfortunately losing again. Except that I really enjoyed it. Got all my tips right for the first time, except one tip.
Oh no!
Get the Dragons one. So that was nice. A little bit extra cash, but no, I thought it was a really good round, and I was really happy for Manly beat the Storm. Really enjoyed that game. So no, I thought it was a really good round.
Yeah, it was, and I was happy myself being there, seeing us beat Melbourne, and all that section. Obviously, did the Tigers beat the bye? I'm not too sure. Did they beat the bye or did they lose, bro?
All I know is we got 2 points, so I'm taking whatever we had against the bye. But other than that, I thought this was.
I'm assuming Luke Brooks got you. I'm assuming Luke Brooks got you the win. Didn't he?
Oh, well, it'll be the first time he actually got us a win. But anyway, it was an amazing round of footy. A lot of really good games that we saw. The nail biter between the Knights and Panthers. I thought that was an amazing game. The comeback from South Sydney against the Dolphins in the second half. Manly just dominating the Storm in every aspect. And unfortunately, Dragons fan guy, Canberra getting one over the Dragons. But other than that, I thought it was a good round of footy. Very entertaining. A lot of sin bins, which, well, is a bit of a question right there. But other than that, I thought it was a great round of footy. And I'm really excited to see how next week turns out. And we're looming very close to Magic Round, so the games I feel are going to get really, really good until we get to round 10 up in Suncorp. Other than that, round 7 was success.
Yeah, 100%, and I agree. I think round 7, as obviously we won, so it makes it better. But just because I think a few games made it great on how the round was. Like obviously, Dolphins and Rabbitohs was good. I tipped Dolphins, but I just thought that maybe Wayne would get them up for this one. But credit to South, they were way too good. Knights and Penrith was fantastic. Like that was a really good game, and I didn't really get to watch that one that much because I was on the way home from obviously Manly, so I didn't get to watch that game that much. But seeing it the second half, Knights, they showed a lot of fight, and that's a lot of guts to stay in there against Penrith when they have Cleary and most of their full strength team. So that game made round 7 good, and obviously on Sunday, look, Eels over Dogs was just all slaughter, and obviously. I thought there was parts where Dragons Raiders was entertaining. Actually, it was boring at the start, but I think it wasn't as bad as what I think most people make it out to be towards the end, though, because I think it got close towards the end. But no, I agree. I thought round 7 was a success as well. All right, on to our player of the round for round 7. So it's a tough one. There's a lot of players that have stood out this round. Obviously, you can only choose one, though, but it's a tough one, isn't it? I'll start with you first, or section. What's your player of the round for round 7?
Geez, there's a lot of good ones to pick. Look, I can go anyone. Reece Walsh had an amazing game at fullback. Your man, Ola Kawatu, he continues to be like one of the best back rows in the game. But if I had to choose one player that stands out, it has to be Cody Walker. That he was the key part of South Sydney coming back in that second half against the Dolphins. The Dolphins really gave it to them in that first half. But when Cody Walker, not Sam Walker, Cody Walker, when he just gets the sort of like, how do I say it? The more of like, when he's not focusing on trying to start anything on the field and actually has his mind set 100% on footy, he's one of the best. He was one of the best 5'8" in the game, and that proved it against the Dolphins. His direction, his kicking, and the pass, the beautiful pass he did. What was it? Was it Graham or I don't know who was the pass to? Johnson. That's right. That beautiful floater out to Johnson. It just proves how much of a player and the level he's at. That is what he played against the Dolphins. That's origin level. That is origin level right there.
It is.
So I got to give full credit to Cody Walker. He is my player of the week.
Yeah, I like it. And look, Walker, I think he has had a couple of average weeks before this great game he had against the Dolphins. But look, I think he's just come out of his shell and he's proving why he's such a one of the best sixes in the game. So it was a good game by Walker for sure. And Dragons fan guy, what was your player of the round for round 7?
So I just like to say, so when I pick a player of the round, and personally, as a prop myself, I like to study the forward pack more, and I'm going with Josh Alaye. I thought he was, for me, he was my favourite of the week. The hit on Olam, I think I have to pick Alaye.
His defense was really good.
Yeah, it was. I mean, when Ola Kawatu and him combined that tackle against Olin, like, fuck, that was crazy. I was like right in front of that soon, nearly. So
that's probably hit of the season right there.
Definitely.
I think so. It's not much better than that so far, but yeah, I like that actually. Alaye is a big part of our middle, so he's done a good job on Fridays, so it's a fair call. As for me, there was a couple of players that I had in mind, but I think you got to go with, well, for me, I reckon Nathan Cleary is my player of the round. I just think that the way he iced the game both times and the foregone point and in-goal point just goes to show you the experience and I guess the maturity he does have in his game now, where he just sort of is calm in those moments and knows how to ice them at the right time. So I think Nathan he's just getting better. He really is getting better. And the scary thing is, he's only 26 or 25 years old.
Oh.
So like,
he's got a good 10 years left, eh?
Yeah, like what he could achieve from now to the next 10 years, it's crazy, especially if he's in his prime still. So look, he had a great game against Newcastle. I know Penrith nearly lost that one, but I think Cleary was the main difference. Kicked 2 field goals there, and he had a good week. I thought Cleary.
Well, best player in the world.
He's up there. He's up there.
Yeah,
Obviously,
leave it at that.
Yeah, there's obviously him, Trell, Turbo. There's a few, but he's definitely on top 3, I reckon, at best.
For sure.
All right, we'll move on to the 5 topics now. So obviously, a lot went on, as we said at the start of the podcast during the week. But the very first one is the Bulldogs and the injury crisis. It's getting worse and worse and worse, it seems. I don't know how it's happening. It could be just bad luck. It could be what they're doing at training, because that's how Kickout picked up his injury at the start through training. So I don't know if that's a conspiracy, maybe. I don't know. I don't believe that. But it always seems to be their training has injuries involved with it. But anyway, the Bulldogs have lost Jacob Carraz, Jacob Rillo for long term because of injuries from yesterday's loss against the Eels. They've also lost in the past RFM, Tyler Mariner, Kickout, Franklin Pele, and despite them still playing, they had, 50% Jacob Preston and Max King. So obviously they're low on troops, and I guess they're struggling for depth at the moment. So all that section. There was talk before this Rabbitohs and Bulldogs game on the Good Friday that they could look for an exemption to get loan players because of their, loss of players with injuries and stuff. But now that they've lost more players, do you think it's right for Gus and the Dogs to look for actual loan players?
Well, yeah, I think it's only fair for the Bulldogs if they did apply for some loan players. If most of their top 30 is out of injury, then I think they need to start looking at some players that they can use to help out the club, because it's unfair for the Bulldogs, who actually started off the season fairly decent, picking up some good wins, to just start falling down the table, getting smashed, getting 50-30 put on them because they can't field a full roster. Like, look, I'll be honest. I don't have that much love. I don't have that much love for the Bulldogs. I have a bit of a rivalry with them and their fans, as you probably saw at the Cowboys-Bulldogs match. But I do know when you need to be fair to clubs, and for the Bulldogs, most of their star players are out, and look, they still have Burton and all of them, but it's not going to get any better for them. Burton's good, but he's not at a level where he can carry a whole team. And this is when they need to start looking for some players on the outside, players, to fill the forwards. And I think some loan players would really help them out. So that's my opinion. I think this is where the NRL should come in and help the Bulldogs, because it's unfair for them to keep losing like this because of injuries.
Yeah, it is. And I think no doubt that these injuries have, lower their chances of winning games, because, I guess what hurts them more is that they actually lose a lot more backs during the game, and then that means it has to be like a whole reshuffle. Like, they've had to put Jackson Toppin in the centres, Paul Alamotti to the wing because they lost Adokar and lost Carraz and Avrillo. Like, it's a big switch up they do because of that. So,
and Ockenball back out on the wing, it's just it's hard to watch. It's hard to watch. I can see why they moved into the back row.
He was actually playing all right in the back row, I thought. Like, I'll be honest, I thought that move to the back row for Ockenball was working well until he moved to the wing. So, I think Serrato might need to stick with that plan. I think he can't change that. Dragons Fanguy, what's your thoughts on this? Do you think the Bulldogs should look at getting some loan players because of their injury crisis, or do you think they should, have enough to replace these players? What's your thoughts?
I'm not really 100% sure with the loan players. I think with the amount of injury, I think they should, but I'm not sure who they've got in reserve grade level as well. I don't study the players that are below first grade, so I don't know how many replacements. I think Gus said they've got Declan Casey. I think's back for them. I think.
Yep.
And Braden Burns is there. But I don't know who they'd loan as well. But I think they should definitely. But I would like to say that I think that Jackson Tapine, it's good to finally see him back in first grade.
Yeah.
And maybe keep him instead of Hocking Ball be nice.
I agree.
Yeah, maybe if Hocking Ball loses a hair, maybe get a couple of kilos off him. Maybe might be a better winger.
Yeah, you never know. You never know.
Oh, God.
Yeah, you never know.
We give him the mullet. We ought to give him a mullet.
Yeah, imagine that. It wouldn't suit him, I don't think. But yeah,
Jesus Christ.
But I'm with you on that one. I think Toppany, he is a first grader in my opinion, a very tough player. Obviously, Ball's move to back rows worked, but I just think that as a natural back rower, Toppany is a bit more suited, better to a team, and offers more, in my opinion, anyway. So yeah, look. As for what I think about this whole maybe potential loan thing for the Bulldogs, I think they have a right to at least make some sort of exemption, or they're not all need to grant them that to make that, I guess, happen to get loan players. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's fair enough because they've lost. I mean, even Brandon Burns, who was supposed to play this week, replacing Ado Carr, he rolled his ankle. So that's another injury to their back line. So that's why Ball started on the wing. So I reckon. I mean, they've got some depth in the reserve grades and stuff like that, but maybe if you can get about 3 or 2 players from, I don't know, one club or just one player from this club and another player from that club, you could do that if those players aren't playing footy. And actually, that's a good point. In the live chat, what Nick from Australia has said, he said that the Bulldogs should look at Paul Momirovski, and that's a perfect one. That's a perfect name to throw out there because he's not getting any game time at the Roosters, so it doesn't hurt if you go for him, I reckon. So there'll be some players that they should get if they have more injuries. I will say that. All right.
Could I just say, Proenzo, another player I think that they could target is Alfred Smalley. You remember he played a few games for Manly last year. I reckon he wouldn't be a bad replacement at this time for them. And Momirovski would be good for them too.
Smalley's all right.
Smalley. He'll bring that aggression on the wing.
Yeah, he's got a lot of aggression for a small man. So yeah, that's a fair shout. All right. On to some Origin now. So number 2.
Origin talk.
Yeah, it's heating up now. It's only like a couple of weeks away, I think. So not far. But yeah, there's obviously been some talk about Jerome Luai's position and the 5'8" role, and there's some calls from famous players or just ex-players and stuff like that saying that they want to see. There we go with the blue scarf there. But yeah, look, there's been that talk that they want to try and get someone else to play 5'8" over Luai. Whether that's because of how he went last year in Origin, I don't know. But obviously, there's options. There's obviously Nico Hines that can play there. Matt Burton can play there. Cody Walker. So there's a few names there. I was going to say Jack Ryan, but he obviously retired from rep footy today, which is a big shock. So you can't pick him. But there is a lot of options to pick from if Luai is to get replaced. But Dragons fan guy, I'll start with you first this time. Do you think Jerome Luai should keep his position at 5'8", or do you think they should go in a different direction and get a new 5'8" for the partner, Nathan Cleary?
I would personally stick with Jerome. Just the combination he's got with Nathan Cleary is beyond a doubt a very good combination. And I don't know who else you'd pick, really. I think Cody would be good, but I don't know if he's too old for Origin. But I would stick with Jerome, personally.
Yeah, fair enough. And Champa, what's your thoughts now? Would you still have Luai in your team at 5'8", or would you go in a different direction?
Well, I'm quite the opposite with Dragons fan guy. I think Luai should be nowhere near that Origin jersey. Not to knock him as a player, he is very talented, but he's not the best 6 in the game. And isn't Origin supposed to showcase the best players in our competition? If I was choosing someone for the number 6, there's no doubt I'm going to Nico Hines. He's the best 5'8" in the game. I mean, he's putting on 5-star performances every single week. You know, and look, he's on his track to being back-to-back Dally M player. And you're not going to have this man in Origin? Are you serious? Look, I get it. I get the combination with Nathan and Luai. And the same argument could be made for Coruscant. but I don't see him making the side, and I even don't see Luai making the side. I think if you're going to pick a perfect halves combination, you pick Cleary and Hines in the halves. Jersey 14, you pick Matty Burton. Luai can just go eat some KFC in Mountjoy because he's going nowhere near that Origin jersey. And I mean that's look. And then I hear this thing on NRL 360. Brave Finasta was talking to Matty Johns, and Matty Johns suggested maybe they should ask Nathan Cleary and say, look, what kind of style of play do you want in Origin? You know, who do you think will be best suited? Nathan Cleary will obviously pick Luai. That's a stupid decision.
Obviously. Yeah.
Oh, when I heard that on F360, I immediately turned the TV off and remembered why I don't watch this fucking show. But anyway, besides all that, Nico Hines should definitely be the jersey. Should be the 5'8" for Blues. Luai can just, I don't know, go look at fairies for all I care.
Yeah, right. Wow, that's interesting. Two interesting opinions there. What do I think? I don't know. It's tough because I think the Blues, after losing last year's Origin series, there's no doubt that they'd like to, get a win this time around this year. And I think Freddie will be desperate for that because I think if they lose another series, he'll lose his job, I reckon. So that's why we're very desperate to get the Blues up for this year. But as for who I would pick as my 5'8", now, look, this is my plan. So I reckon to stick with Drew Luai for game one at least. Game one. So keep him there for now because I still think he's good enough to play at that level, but if he does go on to fail in game one, let's say, I don't know, Queensland dominated him all night. They had a back rower killing him. I don't know, maybe like a Fafita or like a Kafusi just dominated him all night. And maybe Luai had a quiet game and didn't get any try assists or didn't make any real impact in the game. Like let's say that happens, and if that happens, I think you drop him, and I think you bring Nico Hines at 5'8". But I'm also thinking in the back of my mind, you have Nico Hines as a jersey 17 or 14 off the bench. It doesn't matter what number, but have him on the bench and have Luai starting at 5'8" during game one or any game. And I guess if a change is necessary and if they're losing the Blues, you can just swap them around, I guess. So it may not look good for Luai to be dropped to the bench if that's the case, but I think that's something that they could consider, I reckon. So I'd start Luai for now, but if he fails the first couple of early times in Origin, then replace him with Hines.
I'll ask you guys this since you guys are keen on having Luai as number 6. What if before Origin or during Origin, Nathan Cleary gets injured? Do you keep Luai in 5'8"? Because I think we saw in the World Cup and some games in Penrith when Cleary's not been in the side, he kind of struggles without Cleary. So do you keep Luai in the side if Cleary's not there?
Well, I don't know. That's tough. But as for what I think Freddie would do, he'd keep Luai there, I think, because he wouldn't, he wouldn't give away both his starting halves from last Origin, I don't think. Like, if Cleary's injured, you can't play him. But I don't think you'd also move away Luai, I don't think, because that just changes the whole dynamics of that combination. So, that's probably what would happen. But I don't know. It's a tough one because, there's a lot of options out there. I will say that. So whatever they do, hopefully it's the best going forward, I reckon. But that's interesting.
Yeah, as long as they don't bring back Sifa Talakai, I think I'll be happy.
Oh yeah, no, Talakai he's good, but long way to go to Origin, I reckon. Oh shit, Champ is blacked out. All right, all good. He should be back soon. Anyway, all right. Topic number 3, and number 3. This is about the Panthers re-signing yet again another international front row forward, and look, it's obviously someone that they had to keep because the Panthers are losing players like Lenu, for example, and Crichton both leaving, so that's a lot of quality going there. And they just re-signed Moses Leota recently too, which was a big re-signing for them. And keeping Liam Martin until the end of 2027, like it's been reported. It's not official yet, but it's been reported and it should be announced any day. But yeah, look, I think that's smart by Penrith, keeping Liam Martin. Been a very good player for them for a couple of years now. And there's no wonder why he's the Australian and Blues representative by now. So yeah, it's a smart call by Penrith. What do you think, Dragons fan guy? Do you back this re-signing, or do you have a different thoughts on it?
I definitely back it. They couldn't lose him. Just the amount of losses they've had in the last 3 years. I think he's one of those two important players to let go. With who are they losing again this year? Crichton and
Lenu. Yep.
Yeah, I think it's a great re-signing, and can't wait to see him fully fit. And with Zach Hosting, them both to get more game time together, because I think that combination could be really good, and I think it's a definite re-signing that it's been really good, and I hope it's confirmed for his sake. But yeah, I think it's a necessary one they've done. But yeah.
Yeah. No, look, fair enough. Yeah, so I don't know. I agree. I agree as well. I think it's a good call by Penrith. They need to keep these sort of players that have won comps with them and have been in big games for them, because, they're losing quality, obviously. And I think Liam Munn's been a player that's been there for a while now, and he's gotten better over time. So it's good news keeping him. And there's Champ who's back. But yeah, look, Liam Munn's obviously been a great player for Penrith, and there's no doubt that the Panthers would have liked to keep him long term, and they have. So it's a good call by them, and I back it. Good to see you back, Champa. Just what's your quick thoughts about Liam Munn re-signing with the Panthers until 2027? It's not official yet, but it's been reported that it will be announced anytime soon. So what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, quickly apologize, guys. Connection issues right there on my part. But Liam Martin being re-signed to the end of 2027, I think that's a brilliant signing. With most of the Panthers players, in the past, like Burton, Kikau, Coruscant, and then eventually Spencer Lenu, Stephen Crichton. A lot of their premiership winning team is starting to break off from the Panthers, and this is when the Panthers need to look at, all right, we need to start keeping some of our marquee signings. All right, we've got Clearo, we've got Lua, we've got Edwards under the back. Who else should we sign? I think Liam Martin is a great re-signing for them, because he's so amazing out in that edge, that back row. He plays so well off the halves, and losing him would have been another dent in their forward pack, because they're already losing Spencer Linen, which he brings so much impact off the bench. They've already lost Kikau, which we all know how much is hurting the Panthers, with that combination between Kikau and Luai. I don't think they could have afforded to lose Liam Martin. He's so underrated. He's a workhorse for Panthers. He doesn't do anything. He doesn't do anything special. Like, he doesn't pull off all the big hits. He gets the job done. And honestly, that's what you need in your forwards. Just someone who can consistently get the job done. And I think Liam Martin, I think Panthers choosing to re-sign him is great. And yeah, it's great to see him staying at the Panthers. I really see him as a one-man club.
What, one-man player? Yeah. I can
one-man
see
player.
it too. Yeah, I can see it too, actually. I think he loves the club, from what I understand. He obviously enjoys his footy there. So, and keeping him until like 2027, that's like toward the back end of his career by then, because I think he's like, 26 already. So, yeah, he should be there for the rest of his career, I'd assume. So, yeah, like we've all said, it's a good re-signing. It's a good call by Penrith. All right. On to the fourth topic now, and this is very good news, and this is actually good. Whether you're a Roosters supporter or not, doesn't matter, because a player that is obviously one of the best in his own position is back, and it's good to see him back after the tough time he had a couple of months ago. And Angus Crichton was not in a good place, was he? From the World Cup, he from what I understand, he was playing with mushrooms, and that sort of stuffed up his thinking, and did something bad to him. And obviously it kind of does, it sucks, because that's obviously not great when you're going through something and you have to, I don't know, do the wrong thing, I guess, which puts you off track. But he's back now. He's recovered, and that's the main thing, I guess. And he's returned for the Roosters reserve grade side just last week against Newtown Jets. And yeah, I think it's any day now that he gets a call up by Robinson and comes back into the first grade team. So, Champa, it was obviously great to see Angus Crichton back. but when does he make his return to first grade? Is it like against the Dragons for ANZAC round, or a couple more weeks' time until he gets his full fitness back? Like, what do you reckon?
Well, he played an 80-minute game against Newtown, so I think he's got the fitness under control. I think it's just when he's ready, because he's had a really tough few months. That the bipolar diagnosis, his mental health has not been in the right place, and this is why we need to, come to players and just, really think about just where they are mentally. So I think Robson, the best thing for him to do is be like, look, mate, I want you back whenever you can, whenever you're ready. But just know that just take your time and come back when you're ready, because maybe he's not ready to come back at that level. A game against the Dragons, Anzac Day, it's a very high marquee match, and it could put a lot of it could put a lot on his mental health. So personally, I'd love to see him back, anytime soon, but I think it's better for him to come back on his own terms.
Yeah, no, I respect that. That's actually fair enough, I think, because it's not often players go through what he does. I mean, I'm sure there's players that go through mental health struggles and whatever, but just as severe as what he got, there's not many. So it's all that timing and stuff, I reckon, for Crichton. Dragons fan guy, what do you reckon about this one? Do you think Angus Crichton should return against your York boys by next Tuesday for Anzac Day, or do you think it's a bit more of a longer week process?
It's a hard question to ask, because if you ask a Roosters fan, they're gonna say they want him back soon as next game, and it's a hard one. And I'd say I'd love him to be in that Dragons game, even though he's a tough opponent, but he just brings a lot of energy in that. I watched that New South Wales Cup game that they played against Newtown. He looked like he was generally enjoying himself again and played the full 80 in the second row. But I'm not sure. We'll see what happens. But in that New South Wales Cup team, I was surprised. I don't know if you both know that they had quite a few NRL players in that team, and he definitely stood out as well.
Yeah, there is a few players actually that have played NRL for both the Jets and the Roosters reserve grade sides. So, and yeah, like I saw a bit of his highlights too, and he played pretty well. So yeah, it's not far from a return, which is great for him and the Roosters. But yeah, look, I think I agree with what you both have said. I think it's tough, but I think he'll come back probably the next, I guess, from now to the next maybe 2 weeks, which is probably like round 8 to round 10, Magic round. I think that's the bracket he'll return in, I reckon. And yeah, I mean, depends how he feels, I guess. And like Champa said, I think coming back to a game like the Dragons Roosters one on the Anzac Day, where it's so big, like it's a big event, and it's so it's big for many reasons, because it's a traditional Anzac Day match. A lot of stories and a lot of hype goes around that one. So is that the right game for him to come back and mentally prepare for? Maybe, but it's again, with his issues and stuff, makes it hard. But I reckon he'll return soon, and that's the main thing. Him being back in the rugby league fold, which is awesome. Never went black there again, but it's all good. And there he is. All right, we'll move on to topic number 5 now, and this is the last one. So the last topic is obviously very close to Dragons fan guys' heart. I have no doubt about that. And it's about Anthony Griffin, the Dragons coach, and wow, it's been a real roller coaster. His situation at the club, it's been ugly. It's not been handled too well, I reckon, because you're already making these sort of calls and talks about his future 7 rounds into the season. So I don't know why there's a rush to make a call like this, or bring speculation about who's going to coach the club and whatever next. I'll give my main thoughts about it soon, but obviously starting with you first, Dragons fan guy. As a Dragons fan, what's your thoughts about this? Do you think Anthony Griffin deserves a sack right now? And if he gets sacked, who do you want as your next Dragons coach?
Look, I think it's quite obvious. We know that he's not going to be coaching us past this year. I think as Dragons fans, we've known that for quite a while, and it's for my sake. I hope he doesn't carry on like the Tigers did with Maguire, where it keeps dragging on. I think they need to just make a decision soon as possible and just get it over and done with. Um, uh, I think Hook's a nice guy, and I feel sorry. I feel bad for him. He's told he's not getting his job, and then they tell him he's safe, and then backed him again for this year last year when they had doubts in his first year, and then they re-signed him before a ball was even kicked when they had doubts. It's just very confusing. I would be looking if to pick a new coach. I personally would be looking at Ben Hornby.
Yep.
That would be my opinion, but I also think there's a chance that if for Hook's sake he ought to leave now, I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't actually leave himself and leave on his own terms. I think might be better off for him personally. We've got some good assistant coaches that can be interns. We've got Ryan Carr, who's been around for a while. But if I was a Hook, I would be leaving now. Or he goes and asks them, when are you going to replace me? And just, I don't want to be dragged along. It's my livelihood. Just like to get it sorted. I'm hopeful in the next 3 to 4 weeks it'll be all sorted and we can just go back to football because that's what, as a fan, we really care about. I don't really care who the coach is personally. As long as we're winning games, it really all that matters. But yeah, that's my opinion on it, and I feel bad for Hook that he's in this situation. But yeah, I just hope that it doesn't go on for much longer.
Yeah, well said. And just a quick question as well. Obviously Griffin's very close to Ben Hunt, and obviously Ben Hunt has a good relationship with Griffin. And if Griffin gets a sack or leaves, are you worried that Hunt will leave too, or not really?
Not really. There's no clause in his contract with that. To my knowledge, I don't think he'll leave. He just with the re-signing of him, but we'll have to see how it goes. I hope not, but I really don't think players should be involved in it at all. To be honest, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, fair enough. And Champa, it's been a messy situation with Griffin and the Dragons, but do you see him getting the sack, or do you see him staying for, I guess, the rest of the season? What do you think is going to happen in this whole situation? It's a mess.
Well, it has been a mess, and look, Anthony Griffin, he was it's tough to make a call on him because he did all right, before he was at the Dragons, but I think as of right now, it's just him and the Dragons aren't realistically working. He has off season, his big signings were Jacob Bluter and Zane Musgrove. Oh wow, we're really setting the world on fire with those signings.
Yeah.
And they've just started the season off so poor. Really, I mean, look, great first game against the Titans. They absolutely gave it to them. But what else have they done ever since? I mean, they beat a half depleted Dolphins side. That's a lot to take out of. They, you know, they lost to a heavily out of form Raiders side. I think blame of that does come on the players, but also there is a lot of blame to be put on the coach because he's ultimately training these players to run on the field and perform like that. So, I reckon this Anzac Day game is going to be a huge test for him. This is a very high marquee game, and the Anzac games are always close. So if Roosters turn up and put, let's say, 30 on the Dragons, I think this is when the Dragons are really going to seriously look at Griffin. And look, if I'm being completely honest, after seeing the past of how clubs have dealt with their coaches, I don't see him finishing up the season. I think, maybe during the Origin period, he might get the sack. And who knows who might take it. But I do like what Dragons fan guy said, and suggesting Ben Horby. I think he'd be an excellent signing. He's a Dragons legend. He knows the game very well, and yeah, look, Anthony Griffin. I don't think head coaching the Dragons is his. It is his best suited job. I think it's best if him and the Dragons part ways.
Yeah. Well, look, I agree. First of all, I agree. I don't see Griffin staying at the Dragons for long. He won't be there for the rest of the season. He'll be definitely sacked midway through the year at least. Latest round 14, I reckon. But it's a weird situation because, I'll be honest with you both. I don't think Dragons have been playing too badly, actually. I think they've been actually playing all right. They haven't been getting smashed every week. They're not exciting, I guess, but they haven't been awful. And obviously I was expecting Dragons to play a lot worse to start the year, but they've shocked me, and I think they've done okay so far. So it's not really a situation where you sack a coach because of how they're going, but because it's been dragging on for a while now, and I think it's obvious that Dragons don't want Griffin. It's going to happen eventually. So it's a really tough situation because the Dragons fans obviously have had enough of it, and definitely want to try and get some clarity and move on. But yeah, it's a real mess, and this is going to obviously derail their season, unfortunately. But who I think should be there, unfortunately, it sucks, doesn't it? But who I reckon will be their next coach, in my opinion, I would either go for Ben Hornby or Jason Riles. I think Jason Riles is a coach I rate really, really highly. So I think give him a chance and he wouldn't go bad. But if the Dragons are looking for experience, I reckon target Shane Flanagan from Manly as our assistant. Now, I like to keep Flanagan at Manly. I think he's doing a good job in our attack, and he's been a good addition this year for us. But there's some rumor that apparently him and the Dragons CEO Peter Dowse, that's his name, that they don't see eye to eye for some reason. So don't know about that one, but I reckon Ben Horn is a good option too. I reckon.
All right, boys, hear me out. What about Trent Barrett?
Oh, now it makes sense in some way because he actually played for the club. He played for the club and he knows the culture, but. Oh, come on, Dragons can't be that stupid to give him another chance.
Third time's the charm as head coach.
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know. I don't know if Dragons would do that. I mean, maybe one day, but I wouldn't. Dragons should not go in that direction. No
Dragons fan guy, would you be all right with that or no?
Hell no. I'd rather have a rock coaching us than Trent Barrett.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, Barry. Yeah, I've had a couple of bad moments with him as our coach, believe me.
Yeah.
But
can I just ask you something? If when we get a new coach, I think as a club, for me, we need all the players to have their back the coach and the club, because it seems to be a problem we've had for a while where different parts of the club back the coach, other parts of the club don't. I think they all need to just stick with the coach and back the coach fully.
I agree.
So the coach knows when a new coach shines that he's not going to be there for just a season and then this to come up again.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, I agree with that too. But either way, it's a tough situation and it's obviously not a good one. So hopefully things do resolve soon. But everyone, that brings an end to the podcast for tonight. Episode 55 is done and dusted. It was a good show. And again, I do apologise about how there's a lack of episodes as of recent. But from here on now, there'll be episodes consistently every week. So won't miss out on any. It's good.
At the end of the podcast, boys, I just want to tell you something off air before we go.
Yeah, sweet as. Yeah, all right.
Not on the podcast, but just off for a sec. But thank you very much for having me on again. It's been a privilege, and thank you, Champ and Proenza. It's been really fun.
Thanks for coming on. It was a really good show. And Champa as well, thank you for yet again another show.
Always love doing these with you, mate. Thank you for having me on always.
No, all good. And thanks to the live chat that tuned in as well to watch tonight's show. It was really appreciated seeing the support tonight. So thank you very much. But yeah, all right. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to both All Out Champer and All Out Section and Dragons Fanguy's YouTube channels. Both their links to their channels are in the description down below. So please go and check them out if you haven't already. But again, thank you for watching. See you all next Monday for episode 56. So thank you again.